From Paris, France to Munich, Germany, we continued on to Bavaria. Our first stop was the beautiful and historical Linderhof Palace, which was Ludwig's homage to his idol, the French Sun King Louis XIV, who built Versailles. The trip was an overwhelming experience. Photos and videos were not permitted inside the palace. Nevertheless, it was an amazing experience overall. One of the rooms, called the Hall of Mirrors, was not at all like the one in Versailles in size, but large mirrors with gold leaves around it, facing each other, created an infinite reflection of mirrors that made the room large and even more magnificent. Before we went into the castle, we marveled at this fountain, which was all mechanical. As Louis loved fountains, so did Ludwig. As Louis loved gardens, so did Ludwig. I could just imagine how amazing it would have been at that time. Afterwards, we took a ride through these mountains to the main castle, the Neuschwanstein castle. We had a very informative tour guide that did not tolerate tardiness. We actually left some people after 10 minutes of waiting. I could understand because the trip was long and being late was not an option. The scenery was gorgeous. It reminded me of some stories from the Brothers Grimm fairy tale books. It reminded me of Hansel and Gretel and the Little Red Riding Hood. On the way to the castle, we stopped by a small cafe where we sat down, ate delicious cheesecake, and drank some coffee. We also got some knickknacks for souvenirs. Continuing on, we arrived in Fossen and passed by Hohenschwangau Castle, where Ludwig was raised, of course known as the Mad King or the Fairy Tale King. A little fact about Ludwig. He loved operas and theaters, especially Wagner's. There were rumors about his sexuality. Of course, in his time, it was a big thing. He built a few more castles, equally magnificent, but a lot of them were unfinished. We did not have enough time to visit both. It was around 2 p.m., and between each other, we would have to walk about a few miles back and forth. So we went to the most famous castle instead, which was on the other side of the mountain. The two castles were almost facing each other, and there was a bridge in between the mountains, giving a stunning view of the Neuschwanstein castle. In order to get to the castle, you would have to either hike up the trail or take the bus route that comes about every 15 minutes. The climb uphill isn't too far, but you might have a little trouble and need to rest every now and then.
Neuschwanstein Castle, that's where we're going to be walking out to.
The castle was unfinished by the time the King Ludwig died. However, the government had taken on the task of finishing the castle. There were medieval twin castles that were completely demolished where the castle stands, and for 2 decades it gave the people in the region their jobs. As the castle was very expensive to build, Ludwig would borrow money and threatened he would kill himself if predators come and take over his palaces. Even to this day, the castle is still being built and maintained.